Hey everybody, your buddy Eric here, and this is the 2,113 cards I'd restrict in Vintage. Let's restrict all legendary cards. Why? It's classic. That's how we used to do it. Originally, a legendary card was only allowed as a one-of per deck. Isn't that fun? And it's very easy to remember. Hey, legendary, it's restricted. Boom, easy to add. Doesn't have to worry about it at all. So that means it stops problems before they happen. Oh my goodness, can you think about that? We didn't even have to worry about how stupid Ragavan is, right? Oh my gosh, so good. And it's also a very dumb idea. I actually don't believe that. But I think as a fun little thing, I think if we did do that in Vintage, it would be a little interest, and Vintage it would be a little interesting thing, but yeah, maybe it's not the best idea. So actually what I really think is, here are the 13 cards that I would actually restrict. This is not an exhaustive list of the cards I actually would like to see restricted. There's a few more, but I think these cards would really make a nice big change to the format and give everyone lots to work with. So let's go over them. But first, a little fun. If you know, you know. Restrict Root Maze. Alright, so first, the new Trinisphere. I really don't like what this card does for the format, and that card is, if you've guessed it already, Archon of Emeria. It doesn't really, help the format, when especially it's uncounterable on turn one. Even if you do counter it, they can play 4 of right now, and just like getting them out quickly with moxes and stuff just really slows the game down and doesn't make for a fun and interesting game. Yeah, it's killable and counterable sometimes if they don't have a Cavern of Souls, but it's mostly just making the game a mess, and it doesn't really do anything. Especially the non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped, especially with the fetches. It just slows it down to an obscenely slow game, and it doesn't really make it fun at all for anyone involved. Next, the Mulligan Monster. That's right. Let's restrict Serum Powder. Look, if you play in paper, you'll actually see this is a really, really obnoxious thing. I recently, and have many times in the past, have been still waiting for my bizarre opponent to finish mulliganing while the game next to me is going on to game 2. They are really, really slow with this, and I think the London Mulligan, oh god, let's talk about that entirely. But that's entirely a video for itself. Serum Powder does not help the situation, and getting it down to 1 copy would, 1, give, some flexibility to the Bizarre decks because they have more slots now, and 2, just speed up the game. And plus, giving them an extra potential 4 mulligans is just really, really obnoxious for the game. And I think it adds too much freedom for them to, build their deck in the silly ways that they do. And speaking of too much free stuff, Hollow 1, restrict it. It's Hollow 1, not Hollow 4. Just restrict the damn thing. It's a free card that really makes it so that the Bizarre decks, I think they pretty much all play them because it is literally free. And cool, like sometimes they don't have it, alright, fine, but it really turns off any potential hate against the deck, and it makes it harder to attack on various angles. Not to mention that since it's free, they can actually discard several Vengevines and then, just toss these out and swing and kill. It's just too fast. It's too free. Restricting this would really slow the format down, I believe, and that would be very good for it. Next one, if you're religious, this one breaks one of the 10 commandments. That's right. Do not covet a jewel. With the speed that we can put this out in Vintage, I really think that it just does too much, and it really just makes for masturbatory games where if you do not, counter this, if they actually resolve this, and it's just waiting for them to do that stuff. And I mean, yes, you can quote unquote steal it with the the bottom clause, but it happens so rarely that I just don't think it adds anything interesting to the format. It's just too much drawing. And 6 mana is just nothing in Vintage. Or you can even just tinker it out. That's an entirely different story. Next, I should do 1 legendary. Mostly just I hate the card Ragavan. I know it's kind of not that great in Vintage, but Jesus Christ, the fact that it can just be dashed out on turn 1 and has literally caused so many non-games, I think it's very, very boring for the format. This is more of a jokey one. I don't really think it, but I think it doesn't really help. It doesn't do good things for the format. Now, this one is probably contentious, but Narsen is a dumb card. It's banned in, EDH. Let's ban it and let's leave restricted in Vintage. I don't need a map to find riches. I do need this out of my fucking format. Restricted flash, right? That's too powerful. How about, why can we have a flash creature that can search our opponents? What? No, don't do that. It's too ridiculous. It's too good, right? Let's get rid of this. The card's bullshit. Next one, I think we should. Next one, I generally think we should restrict, or just fix initiative. White Plume Adventure. So the problem with these initiative creatures, other than the fact that initiative itself is completely broken, where you take the initiative should just be like the monarch, where you take the actual idea of being the having the initiative or being the monarch. You don't draw a card when you become the monarch. If you did, it would be much stupider. But unfortunately, they didn't go that route with the initiative where you just trigger it every upkeep. No, you can trigger the initiative. You can take the initiative many times in one turn and thus progress the initiative every single time. The fun thing about that changing of the rules is it wouldn't change any of the cards, unlike the errata they did for companions, where the whole 3-mana sorcery speed added to your hand is not on the cards. It is on these newer ones coming up, but that's entirely different. The point is that all these cards say is you take the initiative. Change what taking the initiative means, and wow, it's a much, much better mechanic for one-on-one. The biggest problem is, especially with these white ones, is that the abilities make it impossible to even actually attack, basically. This one, you can untap a creature so they can just swing at you, and then you have to have multiple creatures, which you maybe can't because of Archon. You might be able to get multiple creatures out, and then they actually have an extra blocker every turn because of this. It's too cheap. The 4-mana one is also stupid with the amount of things it does, but this is just so cheap that I don't think it belongs as a 4 or fix initiative. Really, I don't care. It's just too bad for the format. We banned it in Legacy. I actually don't even think it should have been banned in Legacy if they change the damn thing, and they can do it. Do it, Wizards. Change initiative. Make it reasonable. All right, and now here's some ones that probably thinking, hey, Eric, you're a Doomsday player, and you haven't said a goddamn thing about Doomsday, right? All right, well, here's a 4. How about making this a fun of? Restrict pyridine. Look, any cantrip that gets to 4, I think should probably be restricted, just for the concept of it makes the decks too samey, right? Pyridine is a very good card, banned in Modern, so let's restrict it in Vintage. I think that only makes common sense. No, but seriously, the thing that would help the format is we would actually have more cards being used that do different things. Scrying, drawing a card, it's basically just a weaker ponder. Fuck that, restrict it. We don't need 4 of these in the format. Another one, constantly asking if they have it or not is a bit annoying. And you might think I'm talking about Force of Will here. No, I think Fluster Storm. Just restrict it. I think this goes in the same way as Mental Misstep. Obviously not as egregious as Mental Misstep is as a 4 of. But Fluster Storm as a 4 of is just way too restrictive on the format. Having to think, do they have Fluster Storm or do they have their Fluster Storm adds more of an interesting dynamic to the thing and makes it harder for decks like Doomsday to get that turn 1 kill. Because, yeah, sure, if I have Force of Will backup, that's great, but usually Fluster Storm can stop me. If I have a backup with Fluster Storm and Force of Will, I'm almost always getting through. Fluster Storm really protects spell-based combos way too well, and I think mixing Fluster Storm in the format would make these combo decks a lot better. Against the combo decks, I'm sorry. Which one did I say? Yes. Anyway, restrict Fluster Storm. Since we don't errata things, apparently Wizards, even though you do sometimes, but you always say you don't want to, restrict Urza Saga. Look, it's basically the second chapter. I believe that was a complete mess. You know, I understand you were making this during the whole Corona epidemic. You missed the thing. Oh, it's not sorcery speed, or the chapter gets to activate twice because of how it works. So, you know, whoopsie doodles. This was supposed to make 1 construct. You can actually end up making 2. That's too ridiculous. And honestly, the search your library for artifact with mana cost 0 or 1 way too good for putting it on the battlefield, especially in fucking Vintage. Restrict this, slow the format down. Decks like Jewel shops, actually, you wouldn't even really need restrict Jewel, and because Saga is the biggest problem with it, because once you get out of Saga, one, you can win if you can protect your time while getting out. Infinite combo, yay. And also that the fact is that even if they don't Jewel shop you, they don't coveted jewel you, they just make Saga tokens, and if you're fighting one angle or the other, and it's just too many angles for the deck, too good. Resistance should not be futile. Restrict Sphere of Resistance. Just do it. That's all I have to say on that topic. Next, we want to play, not pay. For fuck's sake, Chancellor of the Annex, get the fuck out of the format. Go down to 1. This also goes with the white deck. It just, again, makes it so, cool, I'm on the draw. I can't do shit. Your shit's uncounterable, or I can't actually counter, or I have to have a bunch of shit to do. Makes for non-games. Look, I know I'm a combo player. People think I don't like playing the game. I just want the game over as fast as possible. Not entirely true. I'd like some interaction. And the problem with the white cards that I have mostly is that it just gets to the point where it's like, all right, cool, I'm not doing anything. I get the upsetness people have when Doomsday wins really quickly. All right, that sucks for you sometimes. But the thing is, you decide to keep a hand based on what you're going to do in the interactions you're going to be playing. Cards like Chancellor of the Annex, especially as a 4 that they don't even play, they just pitch to the Chromox. Wow, guess what? I can't do anything because I don't have mana on my first turn unless I'm playing, Gemstone Caverns? Fuck off. Restrict Chancellor of the Annex. And, just ban Bull Citadel. Just fucking ban it. Seriously, just, goddamn, this card is too good for Vintage. It really is. They banned Luris, but here's the problem, is that Bullis' Citadel is so damn dumb for the format. Tinker gets it out, and once it's out, really, there are a few times where, yes, you brick and double land or something, assuming you don't have top, but, the number of games that are just over after Bullis' Citadel get out are too high for the damn format. And I really think, I genuinely 100% think that this card getting restricted would do so much. Not restricted, I'm sorry, that's stupid. Getting banned would do so much for making the format better. You could just ban this. Forget everything else I said so far. Ban Bullis' Citadel and watch how the format changes. It would be so much better. It really would. Ban Bullis' Citadel. That's my honest thing. You think my other opinions might not be fully fleshed out, might be kind of biased, whatever. I really genuinely 100% think, even as a person that loves combo, and I've played Bullis' Citadel decks a lot before Doomsday got to become my favorite deck, it's just too stupid for the format. It really is, and it doesn't make the format a better thing to play. So ban it now. And here's the thing. Don't take this 100% seriously. These are just gut feelings that I have. Yeah, I kind of want some of this to happen. I kind of don't. Here I am basically throwing away my entire video by saying don't take me too seriously. But I think the thing about restrictions, especially in Vintage, the biggest difference between them and bans is that your card doesn't disappear, right? Restricting should be done so much more frequently in the format. It really should. People talk about wanting unrestrictions, which is fine if the speed of restrictions is much faster. The thing is that we restrict things and see how the format shakes out, right? See how it shakes out, unrestrict things. But we don't restrict things at a fast enough speed to unrestrict things. Every time a 4-of card is restricted in Vintage, we have to find other cards. Now, we might just up cards we're already playing, or we might find other older, interesting cards that currently don't have a home and try them out. Restrictions or bannings increase the amount of cards played. That's why I genuinely like them as opposed to unrestrictions. So yeah, sometimes they don't really matter, like Fast Spawn. It didn't really do anything. It did add another deck to the format that lasted for about 2 seconds and then was wiped off the face of the deck. But restrictions actually widen the amount of cards playable. Not playable. Played is a little different thing. Yes, if we unrestrict things, you can play them. If we unban things, you can play them. But they put a pressure on the format of what is actually, quote, unquote, playable. Very important thing for me. So I do really think Bull Citadel should just be kicked out of the format. I genuinely 100% believe that we should change initiatives rules, but overall, all these cards I think could do with a restriction. Let's see how things flesh out. Maybe a bunch of them, maybe none of them, maybe restrict, maybe unrestrict. That's fine, but do something. I think too much time goes between restrictions and unrestrictions in Vintage. And the more we restrict, the more we can unrestrict. And I know you all love unrestrictions, so hey, we gotta restrict before we can unrestrict, right? All right, thank you all very much for watching, and have a lovely day. All right, so you're saying, what about Doomsday, Eric? You absolute fool, you absolute asshole. I actually don't think restricting Doomsday would actually do much. I think it would change the deck up. I think we would be more focused on Oracle combos. There'd be other cards to play with. It would hurt it a lot more. But I think if you actually genuinely want to hurt Doomsday, restricting Doomsday itself is not the actual problem. Speed is the problem. You want to restrict Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual it's one of my favorite cards. I would not want to see restricted at all. I love the card very much. But this card is really what makes Doomsday tick. It really is the problem, so to say, about it. Like, having Doomsday as a one-up, yeah, the combo would be more, we could still do it, though, is the thing. And then we would just lean into other things that we would do fast things with Dark Ritual, because Dark Ritual is a very good card. So, if Doom is really a problem, which I don't think it is, but that's bias speaking, less so Doomsday itself, Dark Ritual would be the one to go, I think. But, that's just me. Love y'all.